So we're here in Mentryville at the initial like village or flop house or whatever. Grapes, drying clothes.
Style stove.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome to Mentryville.
Oh, thanks. Hi, I'm John.
Hi, Evan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
You
Evan.
guys doing a little film about Mentryville?
Yeah, we're just like wandering around checking it out.
Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, I knew the last two families that lived in this house. So.
Really?
Oh,
So, one of my mentors. One of my mentors, his name's Gerald Manzer. He lived here as a kid from 1959 to 1966. And he lived in the room above us here on this side.
Okay.
Basically, I've spent the last 10 years of my life researching this place. I'm a history major, going to COC right now. But yeah, I knew the last two families that lived here. The first time I came up here was 13 years old. I used to be on the board for the Historical Society in New York.
Really? Could you come over here like on the steps?
Yeah.
I'll get you in the light.
Talking about this place, showing this place around.
That'd be great. Yeah, right here in the light.
Okay,
Right here,
perfect.
and I'll get the house behind you. Yeah, you just sit on the steps and like, yeah, you
Talk away?
Yeah, talk away, man.
All right. Well, this is Mentryville. This was a full-fledged oil boom town in the 1870s to 1890s. Eventually, it was abandoned in 1932. But all the buildings you see here, this house behind me, a lot of these buildings here, the barn, the old car garage, and the schoolhouse further up, those are what remain of Mentryville. Now, in 1876, a guy by the name of Charles Alexander Mentry, he's up in Pico Canyon drilling for oil about 2 miles north of here. And he strikes a big kind of pocket of oil, shoots 60 feet up into the air. And that is the birthplace of the California oil industry.
Yeah.
You know Chevron, gas stations started in this canyon, 1876. Became Standard or Pacific Coast Oil, then merged with Standard Oil of California, and then rebranded later in 1977 as Chevron USA. So the house behind me here is I like to call it, a bunch of us, the old timers and I like to call it the Pico Cottage, or also known as the Big House. But this was the superintendent's mansion, and it was built, we think, between June of 1891 and sometime by 1893 it was completed, because we do have a photo of Alex Mentry sitting in his rocking chair on this porch. It is 13 rooms, 5 bedrooms upstairs with the maid's room in the back, and then a study and whatnot. After Mentry died in 1900, this house ultimately became the superintendent's house. So for the Pico oil field, this was the superintendent's family's house. And it was the grandest house of them all, basically. If you actually look in the windows there, and I'll point them out, the entire house was lit by natural gas. You'll see these pipes sticking out see it from the ceiling, and you can see that they used to light their chandeliers with gas, because I mean the oil wells were not even that far, so they just pumped the oil down here. Now, in 1966, the last superintendent family that moved out here was the Lagasse family. Basically, Standard Oil at that point was going to tear this place down because they didn't see that they no longer needed these buildings. But French and Carol Lagasse, they basically said, well, this is our history. Anyway, they negotiated and they put up their house for sale in Saugus, moved into this house, spent the next 30 years here raising 3 daughters, restoring it to its former grandeur. I even have photos on my computer that they gave me of the house in the 80s, all beautiful period, Victorian antiques. Well, and they even though this was a, privately owned area still up until 96, they would invite the school children up and they would actually do school tours here by appointment. And so that all basically came to an end January 17th, 1994, Northridge earthquake. The house originally was built on struts. There is a basement under us. When the earthquake hit, and there is a fault line on the mountain behind us too, but basically the house fell into the basement and moved 8 feet to the west, and the porch came down.
Whoa.
I actually have my binder that's sitting over there. I have pictures from right after the earthquake, and the house is basically like this, and the porch is so.
Whoa.
But yeah, basically after that, the Lagasses lived in basically a camper right about there where that mound of dirt is. And in 1996, Standard Oil donated it, or Chevron at that point, donated this Mentryville and the surrounding 800 acres to the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, with the agreement that they would open it as a museum. Well, 23 years later, here we are. So my thing is, because I knew a lot of the old timers, and what's really cool is for Daryl Manzer, so he was the second to last family to live here. They were before. And he grew, like I said, he grew up and I still talk to him almost every day. And he brought me up here one time, as a teenager, and basically told me all these awesome stories. And so I wrote them all down, and they're in a binder here, and I've spent 10 years of my life researching this place. But my goal is to open it up as a museum, continue, that tradition with the, the Lagasses. They live here as a caretaker, but open it up by appointment to the public. Well, they rebuilt the porch after the earthquake. But when you see inside, you'll know what I mean. You'll be like, oh my God.
So doesn't Disney own like studio land out here?
Yeah, Placerita Canyon, Golden Oak Ranch. So when you take the 14 and get off at Placerita Canyon Road, it's all that field, and then as you're driving up towards the nature center, you'll see like a town kind of board deal, and you'll see that was Disney's Golden Oak Ranch. And the bison at Hart Park were actually originally there because he used them in a movie or a TV show there. And then he donated them to Hart Park in '62, the bison that are there.
I didn't even know there were bison over there.
Well, you should go check it out. You should check out the Hart Mansion too. I am actually a tour guide up there too, so up at the Hart Mansion. I've been there for 6 years. Make sure to shut that door behind you.
Okay. Just so people know.
Yeah, no looky-loos. So this is the kitchen. You can see how that isn't a thing. Yeah, just make sure. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can see, how sad it looks.
It's got a nice charm to it.
Oh yeah, you can fit a whole kitchen table in here. Yeah, that's what they did. It's a huge for 1890s. This was a huge kitchen.
Yeah.
And my plan for it is, keep everything obviously, but have it all, as a functional, but museum but functional.
Yeah.
To show people what life was like in a company town back in the turn of the century.
Imagine doing the historical restoration's got to be quite a lot of money, right? Finding the correct tile, the correct.
Well, I know that I have enough pictures to know what was here of each of the rooms. So this was the dining room.
This is fantastic.
And all the fireplaces were gas. So they had these gas fireplace units. But my plan is to keep, obviously keep everything, but convert it into wood burning. The wallpaper's been redone since, I don't even know who did the wallpaper, but all the windows are original. They're the old double sash windows with the weights in the walls. Some of them need to be reattached. Let's see, so in here, this was the china closet, or china storage closet, or silver storage, basically like formal plates and whatever. And then in here, there's a room in here too. So this was, I think Carol referred to this room as like the pie pantry or dry storage. It's a pantry.
Oh, and it's got this pass through to like the parlor.
Yeah, actually it still opens.
Oh yeah, so they do proper entertaining in there.
Exactly.
Like pass the food through.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep the party going.
There you go. And I mean, yeah, Daryl and his family used to have parties here. And it was a funny rule because they would say, his mom would be like, nobody allowed past the schoolhouse. Because, I mean, this was the boonies back then, it still is.
Mm-hmm.
So this area here, this was the maid's quarters, we think.
Pretty nice.
Walk-in closet.
So there's no indoor plumbing at this time, right?
No, there was indoor plumbing to begin with. There were 2 bathrooms upstairs, and then there used to be one on the porch, kind of enclosed, but there's only now the 2 upstairs. One in between one of the bedrooms, and then one at the top of the stairs. And what's really cool is both of them still have the old claw-legged bathtubs. And you'll see that downstairs closet under the stairs. Yeah, so this is my plan basically, like I said, to restore this home, live in it, and open it up. You can go upstairs if you like.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You guys go upstairs. So, you'll see when the earthquake hit, the room, so you go down this way, the blue room basically, so you go down to the door on the left. That was the heaviest damaged room. And that was Daryl's old bedroom. I just love how, even, like I always say, that even though this house looks sad, it's still salvageable. You can still, fix it up. Yeah, I think the last day did that. So, but you can see that they did this shitty tile. You can see behind it was the wood. So
John, check out this wallpaper. It's like
old newspaper.
Yeah.
I think that's a Lagasse thing.
That's really cool.
You can see how many layers of wallpaper were put on.
Yeah.
So, I plan on re-wallpapering.
It'd be cool to find prints like that, huh?
I don't think there's much of those anymore.
I remember going to a place that had bathroom wallpapered with old
Really?
newspaper. It's probably too far back in my photo album, but it's a cool look.
This house has a lot of
It's an old sewing machine converted into a...
I don't think this house is sad at all. It feels like it has a really joyous spirit.
Yeah, it does. I agree. But it just needs work, and that's all it really needs.
Oh, this is the high end, like that's like the Tiffany's level wallpaper from back in the day.
So this was one of the bedrooms. What was I gonna say? So when I first walked, the first time I ever was in this house, 13 years old, it was for a historical society tour. This whole room was covered in bee carcasses.
In what?
Bee carcass. Yes. Oh yeah. They would, and later on they would the wasps would nest in the. Oh yeah, the wildlife have basically almost moved.
Yeah.
But it needs work, and
It's not bad though.
it's not bad. And like I say, it's basically at the point of no return, almost there.
Yeah.
So it just needs that tender, loving care. Did you guys see the bathroom in here?
Yeah, this is...
I'm going to obviously remove this crappy linoleum. You want to try and the sink and the bathtub are original.
Yeah. So cool. And then what's was this a gas fixture?
Yes, so that was a movie. The reason why it's black is because of the movies, the Hollywood basically left it like that. But yeah, like I said, these were all gas-lit rooms.
Oh yeah, that's paint. Because for some reason I was like, is that soot?
No. No, trust me, when Daryl always told me when they used to have, they would have to clean that thing, the ceilings once a month because of all the soot from the natural gas. Went in cabinet. Now these things here I found around, the area and left them here for, I've hidden them for quite a number of years. You can see here, this is a piece of a tin of some sort that I found behind the house in the ground. This is one of the weights for the windows. And this was a piece of a pipe, because back then when they had the oil, they would drill it, or not drill it, they would, this line basically would run from the oil wells to here to bring in the gas.
Interesting.
So. All right, so let's go hike up the canyon and I'll show you some things along the way. It's about 1.5 miles to 2 miles, depending on the rate. It's not that treacherous, do not worry. Yeah, I always love showing this place around because even like for me, it's, it has a great personal connection.
This is really cool, man. Much appreciated.
Oh yeah,
I've been here for years, and it's a real treat.
It's a real. This place is a hidden gem, and not many people know about it. And I've always told people, if you're an outsider coming in here, not knowing the history, it's like you see just derelict old buildings falling apart. So, and that's my goal, is to show people, this is our history. Like, it needs to be preserved. Going after my history major, that's what I've learned. And, I'm taking at COC right now History of California, which is one of my classes. And I mean, this is where the oil boom started for California. Let's actually, you want to really get started, let's start at the Felton Schoolhouse.
Okay.
So, we'll take you through there, and then I'll take you inside the house.
Sounds great.
I don't like taking big groups in. I've done that before.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, but you like 2 people, completely fine. I don't care. I do warn you though, because there is a lot of rat poop in there. So I hope you guys have good lungs. So, are you guys local?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Valencia, Saugus.
I lived in
Saugus.
Stevenson Ranch for probably, 10 years.
Okay.
But I've lived in this area for 15.
Okay.
So I'm out in Saugus right now.
Okay, so you're in Saugus.
Yeah. I went to Cal Arts for 4
Oh,
years.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I stuck around because I just loved the area.
Oh yeah, I mean, like for example, my family's lived out here for 50 years. My grandparents raised my dad and my uncle out. They basically moved out here from the valley right after the Silmar earthquake in 1971.
Oh, okay.
And, I consider my family as an old-timer family, I guess.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
50 years.
No, 50 years
cool,
qualifies you.
I guess.
That's a benchmark, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so almost 50 years. But, being at the Historical Society, I've met so many people. I've met Carol Lagasse, who restored that house, restored this schoolhouse. And, she gave me a bunch of things. She still has, actually, Alex Mentry's old roll-top desk.
Whoa. Wow.
She lives up in Lebec. Frenchie passed away about 20-some-odd years, 97, I think, passed. And so I've been, and her good friend, that is basically like my family friend. I don't know if you guys know the area of Newhall pretty well, but
Pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah.
if you go down Newhall Avenue from DMV towards Hart Park,
Right.
there's 8th Street and there's the Presbyterian Church, and you go up that big hill,
Yeah.
and then there's these like Snow White kind of looking houses there, just before, there's one before Wayman and 2 at the top of 8th. And the one before Wayman, we call it the Charlie Mack W.C. Fields house. My friend lived in that. It was her family home for 70-some-odd years. I actually stayed there for 2 weeks. Stayed in the old maids' quarters. And, but yeah, she knew, like, she was one of the founding members of the Historical Society. Her and Ruth Newhall used to, they actually spearheaded the funds to donate the to move the Saugus Depot. So.
Interesting.
All right, so this is the Felton School. It was built in 1885. And when you go in, you'll see it was, when you walk in through the store, there's a coat room. So the children had their little coat room, and then over here was a teacher's library. And what's really cool is there's like a little door, and I'll show you. Gotta find the right key. There we go.
So this is the original structure?
This is the original structure.
That's
this
impressive.
building has sat here since 1885.
I'm just shocked the wildfire didn't take it out in that amount of time.
Trust me, Daryl told me of this one huge wildfire that happened in '62, and basically it burned Melody Ranch down, basically, but it can't. I mean, this place just came so close to burning down, but by the grace of God, it's still standing.
Oh, this feels amazing.
Isn't this awesome?
This is great.
I actually did a restoration project here for a high school project, and somebody actually donated. The weekend I did this restoration project, the old timers, Daryl and Dwayne, somebody donated this potbelly stove for the schoolhouse for my project.
Wow, and that's era appropriate?
1885, 1900. You can see here, these were the gas lamps. Thing likes to slam.
This is fantastic. So the teacher would be situated where?
Okay, so we think that she was over here in this corner, but I kind of wondered that it might have been over there because remember, this was restored in 1976. So they, before when the Manzers were living here in the 60s, this was falling apart. It was a barn. So, yeah, nobody's really been in here in the last 20-some years.
This is amazing. The vibe in here is surprisingly vibrant and fresh.
It is. And people always ask me all the time, is this place haunted? Which I do believe in spirits and whatnot. And I do kind of believe that Alex Mentry does roam around here. I mean, there have been documented deaths here in this canyon. But I really if there is anything, it is not evil. They're just here.
Yeah.
It feels good to me.
Yeah.
I like the vibe.
It doesn't feel sinister.
No, it's I always like to say it's a time gone by. It's a time, it's the past. They don't make structures like this anymore, unfortunately.
I couldn't resist. I mean, this is.
Oh no, it's fine.
I put something
I'm
good.
gonna erase all of them eventually, and redo them. But
Oh, sit right there. I'll take a good still. This will be.
Class is in session.
I'll do.
well, I should be sitting in my bed.
I'll do a good. Oh yeah, this will be a good one. This will be a good portrait. And then I'll do a normal one.
But yeah, no, I've spent a considerable amount of time here, and even when I did the restoration project, which I kind of regret doing, but I brought out. We had in storage the original screens, and they were in much better shape. And I feel so terrible that I put them back up because 2 weeks later this place got broken into.
Oh no.
But yeah, so I won't let that happen again. And it is known where, over the years, teenagers would come up here at 3 in the morning and party and drink, but...
It'd be a great place to party.
Oh, trust me, if I'm basically, like I told you, my goal is to have, the Conservancy live in the house, open it up to by appointment to the public, but you could do a Halloween party fundraiser in here.
Yeah,
It's a big house.
Yeah.
I mean, you could certainly. I mean, you already have
the closest housing tract, which is Southern Oaks. They used to do a harvest festival.
I mean, that would be great. I can see your vision for this now. It's
oh, you should see Johnson Park further up the canyon. So Johnson, if you've ever hiked it further up, Johnson Park was the recreation grounds for the oil.
Yeah, John, we gotta hike up so I can show you the old oil rig.
Yeah, I can hike and give you guys the whole hiking tour if you like.
Dude, I'm down.
I'm here until 4th. I'm used to call it Mini Lotta Canyon. It was named after two little girls, Minnie and Lotta. But yeah, this trail actually goes up, winds up into the canyon, and you can actually, there's a little, at the end of it, there's a little picnic area, and it's so gorgeous up there. It's not that bad of a hike. But yeah, that's Mini Lotta Canyon, Coachum's Bakery Furnace.
So is this the type of hike, if you had a family, you could take them up there?
Oh yeah, easily. And it's so easy because, you know, the trail crosses over the creek several times, and there's these footbridges here, so.
So it's a family safe hike.
Yes, yes.
And then
family safe.
And this is where the bakery was at, you're saying?
Yes. So that slab of concrete there was the was the foundation for the furnace. Actually, I think I have actually in here, in this binder, I have a rough drawing that was done with the Coachum's Bakery. Oh, this is how Mentryville looked in 1900. So you can see that was the barn at the mouth of the canyon. The house, this building's still there, that's the ice house. That building's gone, that's the schoolhouse. On the other side, you can't see it in the picture, but there used to be a dance hall there. And they used to have social gatherings. And then this building over here, that was the Cheney house. And there used to be a footbridge. Okay, so this is, so this is the dedication of Mentryville as a California registered landmark. Close this. I think there's a drawing of a rough drawing of the Coachum's Bakery in here. Oh, there it is. So that's roughly what it looked like. And then you can see the cottage there with the little, you know, the coach.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
That's cool.
So, yeah. So, and it's all, you know, our history. All right. So let's continue on. Johnson Park, but you know, this area has such unique history. You know, if you look up in the canyons here on the canyon walls, there are caves, and what's quite interesting is a lot of the Native Americans, you know, this was a prominently Native American area, and the big tribe that was out here was a tribe called the Tataviam, and which roughly they always believed they were called the people of the sun, and their big village, actually, there was a few, but the biggest one was present-day Magic Mountain. Now, in August of 1769, a guy by the name of Gaspar de Portola and his party came up through what we now know today as the Newhall Pass into the Santa Clarita Valley, and from what I understand, it was all good, you know, very good, warm greetings, and but then obviously you had the missions that came up, and the Native Americans basically were enslaved and put to work. It behind Magic Mountain, where they're building now, unfortunately, cutting away all those mountains, there used to be what they called it was like a trading post or a halfway point between the San Fernando mission and the San Buenaventura mission. And it was called the Asistencia de San Francisco Xavier. And it was just a little adobe building with a courtyard, and unfortunately it was destroyed in the 1857 Fort Tejon earthquake, which I consider the last big one. It was, but I think it was an 8 point, it was over an 8, I know that.
Wow.
But thank God, you know, that there was nothing out here at that time, so imagine that happening now. So anyway, but this is Johnson Park. So this is where the oilmen hung out. This was basically the recreation area for them. So So you can see this would have been a stage, concrete dance floor. Up here was the old craps tables. Let's go this way.
So it was dry, but you could gamble.
Oh yeah, easily. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the oil men had their little flasks.
It wasn't completely dry.
Oh no, I'm not.
Just on the books is dry.
Yeah.
They just didn't sell or serve alcohol.
Exactly, and then I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they had, like I said, little flasks. This is the craps tables. See how old these things are, and you can see some graffiti on them. But this is quite interesting. So this derrick here is a reproduction, but the things that make up the derrick were pieces from the works up here. They were reconstructed. This is called Cochem's #1. So the bakery, they dedicated it to Anthony Cochems, who's the baker, and this is how, you know, early California oil was pumped, extracted from the ground from an oil derrick.
So what's the purpose of the wheel?
So basically what happened was, this was the machine here. It was steam powered, and the wheel, so there's what they called, I think it was a sucker rod, and it was attached to that hook, and then it went into the ground there. You see the hole, and then it would just, the machine would just, you know, go up and down. The wheel would turn, and it would go up and down, basically.
Oh, and just sort of like start a suction for the oil.
Yes.
And then once the oil got going, how, like, was a pipe inserted into that hole?
Correct.
And then where would that?
Down to the Pioneer. It would eventually, the oil would be pumped initially down to the Pioneer oil refinery. So that pipe you saw, that all got sent down to the refinery.
So they get pumped out of like a derrick like this, sent down the pipeline all the way to Newhall.
Hall, yes.
And then that refinery would process the crude oil.
Correct.
And then
barrel it and ship it away.
And then that was the first initial oil refinery for like all of Los Angeles, or?
Well, actually, west of the Mississippi.
Wow.
So
That's humongous.
yeah, that was the first commercially successful refinery west of the Mississippi River.
Oh yeah, is this where we're gonna talk about Mentry, or do you want to talk about?
We can talk about him up at 4.
Up at 4, okay.
So
cool.
that's a little further up. It's not too far, but
okay. So this was the recreation area.
So this was the recreation area, and even in like 1976, when they had the centennial thing, they barbecued here. They used to have big events. You can easily fit 300 people here.
You could have a hell of a music festival.
Oh, you could have a music. Oh yeah, and that's why I say this place has, the whole area has so much potential. Yeah. You could have a music festival here. You could rent this out for a party. You know, things like that.
I'd imagine people would want to do like wedding ceremonies.
That's what I want to do for this place. You know.
Oh, this place is like super valuable in so many ways.
Oh yeah.
Just the real estate alone, let alone the history attached to it. But then with the history attached to it, it's like invaluable.
Exactly, and like it's being wasted.
I agree.
So that is my goal. This is the site of CSO number 4. This well still holds the title of the first commercially successful oil well west of the Mississippi, and it still holds the title of the longest commercially successful oil in the world. It ran for 114 years. Spudded September 26, 1876, and was capped off in February of 1990. And this is what's left of it. Basically, they had by the time they capped it off, it was what they called a grasshopper unit, and the ones you see on Plaza Rita or whatever. And it would just go up and down and up and down, and now it's all just capped off. But the two markers here, this one is from, I want to say this is from the petroleum production pioneers. And what's interesting is that it is tall. It is a tall, there's a picture of Daryl's dad, Al, and he was a tall dude, and this thing was taller than him. So half of it is actually buried in the dirt. And then the other one over here, this is from the National Register that they put in. This was in 1966. It says, well number 4, Pico Canyon oil field, has been designated a National Register Historic Landmark under the provisions of the Historic Sites Act of August 21st, 1935. This site possesses exceptional value in commemorating or illustrating the history of the United States. U.S. Department of Interior, National Park Service, 1966. So even they knew back then that this is a historic place. So anyway, Mentry comes up here. Charles Alexander Mentry was born in France in the 1840s. He comes out to America around the late 1860s, 1870s, and he first starts working in Titusville, Pennsylvania, which was the East Coast oil drilling operations. He comes out to California, in particular to Newhall around 1873, just, you know, doing the American dream. Now, he does drill up here before 1876. Actually, he did drill. This well had existed, I think, starting around 1875. When we talk about the birth, you know, September 26, 1876, that day he actually was drilling for, he expanded the drilling of the well. He dug, I think it was like 300 plus feet further down. And that's that day, September 26, 1876, is when he struck that big deposit of oil. And it shot 60 feet up in the air, and hence you have the birthplace of the California oil industry. Now, Mentry was, he was pretty much an interesting guy. He very hands-on, did a lot of machine work, did a lot of things like that, very invented things, hands-on kind of guy. So, and, you know, this is what's left. So, interesting stuff.
So what we have here is the West Coast's first productive oil well that fed down to what? The refinery, Newhall.
Correct.
So it came from this point, went through a pipeline all the way down to Newhall.
Yep.
Refined it into gasoline, and that was the West Coast's and California's first
Correct.
working oil producer.
Yep. Exactly. This is where it all started. And actually, as you were talking, so when they originally it was an oil derrick. I think they redid it as a grasshopper kind of deal in the 40s. But this was the fence that they used to barricade it off. And this is the first time me seeing this here. So they had this chain link kind of fence, or, you know, that was welded together, you know, by man. And it kind of went around here, you know, kind of around like this. And to block it off, I guess, in a sense. Because remember, even though the town itself was abandoned, they were still pumping oil out of this well.
So Charles Mentry truly lived the American dream.
He did. He was the man. He was basically what we call the American dream, manifest destiny. If it wasn't for this, you know, rusty old pipe here, there would be a big part of California history would be missing. Big part of it. So.